Hello everybody, today we'll be doing chapter 2 of Business and Technology ACCA F1, Business Organization and Structure. So before we do this, I would request you to watch the other videos which I've completed previously. The link of the playlist is given in the description box below. So make sure you watch them before you watch this. Also, you might notice that I am not following the sequence of the Kaplan textbook. And that is only because it will be easier for you to understand. I am using Kaplan for reference. So these are the chapter learning objectives. We will be covering these in the chapter below. Okay, so what is organizational structure? Organizational structure is concerned with the way in which work is divided up and allocated. It outlines the roles and responsibilities of individuals and groups within the organization. So, organizational structure speaks about how the work is being divided and allocated. There are several possible ways in which an organization can be structured. So, we need to be familiarized by the way the organizations can be structured. So the first one is the easiest one, which we have seen in many places, which is the entrepreneurial structure. So what is the entrepreneurial structure? In an entrepreneurial structure, you have an entrepreneur and the employees. So this structure is built around the owner manager and is typical of small businesses in the early stages of their development. It is also often found where the entrepreneur has specialist knowledge of the product or service that the organization offers. So, what is an entrepreneurial structure? There is a single leader, there is a single entrepreneur, and there are employees below it. So, we have seen this in many places. So, there's just one head, and there are like one head, and the employees are below the single one head. So, that is what is an entrepreneurial structure, which we see in most of the small businesses where there is less of complexity. Moving on, we have the advantages and disadvantages. So let's start with it. What are the advantages of an entrepreneurial structure? I think it's very basic that the decision making in an entrepreneurial structure is very fast, and that is because only one person heads the organization and there is just one leader, so he takes the all the decisions. So obviously the decision making is fast. And then we have more responsive to the market. So when one person has just started the business, they focus on like expanding in the market, so they focus on the market. And then we have goal congruence. Goal congruence is when the goals are met because only one person is the in charge, so all the goals are met. And then we have good control, since there are lesser number of people, and since the entrepreneur, the owner is just one, or the head or the leader is just one person, then obviously the control is going to be good. And close bond to workforce, since there is just one leader, and since it's a smaller business, the bond to the workforce is good. So what are the decisions we have seen in entrepreneurial structure? Very easy, fast decision making, more responsive to market, goal congruence, good control, and close bond to the workforce. Very basic, very easy. Now coming to disadvantages. So the lack of career structure. So as we've seen in the diagram above, there's an entrepreneur and employees. Since there's just one leader and it's a small business, there is no career growth for the employees. Like they can't become the head, right? Because we already have an entrepreneur. So there is lack of growth, in the sense lack of career structure. Then we have dependent on capabilities of the manager or owner. So since it's a small business and since just one person is heading the organization, everybody, all the employees are dependent on the capabilities of the entrepreneur. And the third one is cannot cope with diversification or growth. This we've covered in the earlier one above. When there's diversification, when there is growth, entrepreneurial structure cannot cope with it, because we need more number of people, because the everything just changes and growth, and there'll be more departments, so one person will not be able to manage everything. So that was the entrepreneurial structure. We just saw the advantages and disadvantages. Revise it in your minds. And then we have the advantages and disadvantage of the entrepreneurial structure, which we have just seen. So what were the advantages? There is only one person making decisions. This should lead to decisions being made quickly. We've understood that. As soon as an element of the market alters, the entrepreneur should recognize it and act quickly. Since there's just one person and they're very eager, they notice whatever happens in the market. A lack of chain of command and the small size of organization should mean that the entrepreneur has control over the workforce and all decisions within the organization, leading to better goal congruence. So we know that since there's just one person, the chain of command is also small size, so there is goal congruence, and there is a better goal congruence, and the entrepreneur has a close bond, and they also entrepreneur has a control over the workforce and all the decisions. Is that clear? Now, if there's any doubt, please drop them down in the comments below. Moving on to the disadvantages. This type of structure is usually suited for small companies where due to size there is no career path for the employees. If the organization grows, one person will not be able to cope the increased volume of decisions. This also we have discussed in the above. So I hope it's clear. You can pause the video and revise so you don't have any backlog left. Moving on to the functional or departmental structure. So by the name, we know that functions, they're talking about various departments, they're talking about various functions. Functions, departmental. Functional, departmental. They are the same thing. Do not get confused. Its functional organizations are the same as the departmental organizations. Functional structure is the same as departmental structure. So what are functional organizations? Functional organizations group together employees that take similar tasks into departments. So this type of structure is often found in organizations that have outgrown the entrepreneurial structure. So this is the most appropriate for small organizations which have relatively fewer products or locations and which exist in a relatively stable environment. So when a group of people are doing the similar task, are doing the same department or are providing the same function, they're all grouped together. For example, the marketing department, the production department, the finance department, the personal development department, etc. And then we have, moving on, we come to the advantages and the disadvantages. In the advantages, we have economies of scale. So obviously economies of scale. So per product, the cost comes down because there is no duplication. So the price per product comes down. That is what is known as economies of scale. Then we have standardization. Since the similar departments are grouped together, so the work is standardized. So all the products, marketing for example, is the same way. It's done the same way. So it is standardized. And then we have specialists, more comfortable. So I might be a person who is good at production. I might not be good at marketing. So when I'm in the production department where only production is done, I'm happy because I specialize in that. Then career opportunities. So since a person is in the functional organization or the departmental structure, so there are career opportunities. I can become the marketing head later on. I have growth. It's not like entrepreneurial structure. So then we have the disadvantages. So what is disadvantage? There might be empire building. So what does that mean by empire building? That one one department will try to be better than the other department instead of focusing on the success of the entire organization. They try to be the marketing department might try to be better than the other department. So that's how it is. And then we have empire building. So that's empire building. Then we have slow. Obviously the decision making is slow. And then we have conflicts between functions. So various functions might have conflicts with each other. Then we have cannot cope with diversification. So what does it mean by cannot cope with diversification? So if an organization wants to introduce another product into its company, then that's not really possible and stuff, because it's very hectic. Like, then you have to add more people or in every department, so that's kind of not possible. I hope you're able to understand and just make notes right now, so it's easier for you all to you know understand it. Like, you can watch the video and start learning here itself. You don't need to have any backlogs. Moving on, we have the advantages again. So we've just done this. Let's just revise. Advantages of functional structure or departmental structure. Rather than duplicating roles in different parts of the company, similar activities are grouped together, leading to economies of scale or lower costs. Standardization of outputs or systems, people with similar skills being grouped together and so not feeling isolated. Due to the larger size of the organization and the grouping into functions, there is a career path for employees. They can work their way up through the function. And now we have the disadvantages. Managers of the functions may try to make decisions to increase their own power, or they are just in the best interest of their function and not overall, rather than working for the best interest of the company overall. This leads to empire building and conflicts between the functions. Due to the longer chain of command, decisions will be made more slowly. This style of structure is not suited for an organization which is rapidly growing and diversifying. For example, the specialists in one organization's production function may not be able to cope with making, say, gas fires and radios. Okay, so I think it's all understood now, because we've discussed the departmental structure or the functional structure in a great detail. So we know what are the advantages of departmental structure. Specialists are happy with it, and there is standardization, there are career opportunities, and economies of scale, and there's no duplication. And disadvantages is that empire building happens, it is slow, there might be conflicts between departments, and they cannot cope with diversification. Moving on to divisional or product structure. So this structure occurs when an organization is split into several divisions, each one autonomously overseeing a product. Separate division for cars and motorbikes, a geographic section, separate divisions for US and Europe, even by customer, separate divisions that look after corporate clients and private clients. So each division is likely to have a functional structure with all the departments it needs in order to operate in its particular market segment. So earlier we had seen departmental or functional structure. So in departmental or functional structure, we have separate departments for like the different functions, whereas in the divisional or the product structure, we have different departments for each product. For example, if I'm Nestle, there's a separate department for coffee, there's a separate department for biscuit, there's a separate department for food, various other food products, etc, etc. So that's one thing. Moving on, we have divisions are likely to be run as profits centers with their own revenues, expenditure, and capital investment. So in divisional structure, divisions, they run as profit centers with their own revenues and their own expenditures and their own capital investments. Each division is a separately identifiable part of the overall organization, which is often referred to as a strategic business unit or SBU. So in divisional structure, they have a autonomous structure, SBU. And moving on to that, I think it's very clear that in divisional structure or product structure, we have each division is separately identifiable part of an overall organization, which is often referred to as a strategic business unit. So we have board of directors, and we have division 1, which is product 1, division 2, which is product 2, and division 3, and we have functions. So then we have divisional structure. A Limited is a company that manufactures 2 different products, toasters and televisions. The products require different components and require different advertising and sales. A Limited therefore operates a divisional structure with a toasters division and a television division. Each division has its own sales, purchasing, HR and advertising divisions. The finance department, however, is still operated centrally. So when you have different products, divisional structure is better. And before we see the advantages and disadvantages, what do you think are the advantages and disadvantages of the product structure, of the divisional structure? Pause the video and try to answer it by yourself. Okay, so it enables growth. So as we've seen in the functional or the departmental structure, that it is not really easy to, you know, it's not really easy to if you want to diversify or if you want growth, it's not easy. That's what we've learned, right? But when you come to when you come to divisional or product structure, it enables growth because it's very easy to add on another division without disturbing the existing divisions. So clear responsibility for products and divisions. So general managers can be trained. So as we've seen in the picture below, we have a general manager for every division. So not like not like departments. So this is like not like the departmental structure. So in this, it's very easy to train the general managers of each type of product. Moving on, easily adapted to further diversification. I told you key enables growth. With enables growth point, we have easily adapted to diversification because you can add on another division without disturbing the existing divisions. Top management is free to concentrate on strategic matters. So the top managers, they're free and they can concentrate on the important matters and stuff. So what are the disadvantages of the divisional or product structure? So first one is potential loss of control. So when you have different products, it might be like everybody is just doing their work and nobody is really focusing on each other's work. So there might be a potential loss of control. Okay, and then we have lack of goal congruence. So since every product functions as a separate strategic business unit, so because of that there will be lack of goal congruence because everyone's just focused about their product. Moving on, there is duplication. So how do I explain the duplication part? For example, we have two products, we have cakes and we have ice creams. So I have a marketing, advertising, production and organizing department for the ice creams, and in the cakes department I have again a marketing and advertising and organizing, whatever, all the departments. So you see that the same departments are there in every product department. So because of that there is duplication of resources. So now the next part is the same as we've seen earlier. It's easier for you to relate. Specialists may feel isolated. So what does that mean? The specialists, they may feel isolated because obviously they have to, like, if I'm belonging to the ice cream department, I have to do the work of all the all the activities. So the specialists may feel isolated. Moving on, there is an allocation of central costs can be a problem. As we have seen, allocation of central costs can be a problem. So it is a problem because sometimes we share the if there are two products, the finance department is the same for both of them. So when one has a profit and one has a loss, it is really confusing. So the allocation of the central costs is a problem in the product structure. Okay, moving on. I hope this is very clear and this is very easy. So let's go to the advantages and the disadvantages of divisional structure. We've just seen it and we have discussed this in detail, but still let's just read it out. My objective with these lectures are that you don't have to go back, you don't have to go and start learning or start reading the chapter all over again after the video. The objective of these lectures are that you learn while with me, like you learn while watching the video itself. So if you focus 100% here and if you make notes and if you answer the questions which I tell you to, then you have to, like, I think it'll be really helpful for you guys. Okay, So if an organization wants to grow and diversify, the functional structure cannot cope. So instant divisional structure should be adopted. So we have just done this. It's very easy to add on another division without without adding on. And then we have, it encourages growth and diversity of products. It encourages growth and diversity of products by adding additional flavors to capture other segments of the market. This in turn promotes the use of specialized equipment and facilities. Due to the breakdown of the company's activities into the divisions, it should mean that the divisional managers can clearly see where their area of responsibility lies, and it should leave the top management free to concentrate on other strategic matters rather than to get involved in day-to-day operations of each division. Although this can lead to lack of control over the activities of division, possible lack of goal congruence. The focus of attention is on product performance and profitability. By placing responsibility for product profitability at the division level, they are able to react and make decisions quickly on a day-to-day basis. The role of general manager has very less concentration upon the specialization. This promotes a wider view for the company's operations. I hope it's all clear. We've discussed every single thing earlier. There's nothing to be worried about. We've not missed anything. Now we come to the disadvantages of the product structure or the divisional structure. In most divisionalized companies, some functions, example accounting or human resources, will be provided centrally. So if this is the case, the cost of centralized function could be recharged to those divisions using the human resource function. There are different ways of calculating the recharge, and the divisional managers may complain if the profitability of their division is reduced. So this also I told you कि there might be centralized costs. So एक को अगर profit हुआ and दूसरे को if there's loss, then it's very difficult to allocate. It's kind of unfair at times. So that is a problem. So now we've done functional structure, we've done divisional structure, and now we're coming to the geographically structured. This is literally the easiest part of the entire chapter. So geographically structured is like simple. It involves each division covering a specific location. So instead of having separate departments, or instead of having separate products, we have separate departments which is based on a specific location. For example, a global company may be split into different divisions, so based on geographic areas. So instead of having a cake department and ice cream department, or having a marketing department and production department, we have the northern division, eastern division, southern division, Asian division, European division. So it's stuff like that. I hope that's really easy. There's nothing to learn in this. And obviously the advantages are enables geographic growth, which is kind of obvious that geographic growth is enabled, and it allows local decision making, and we have clear responsibility for areas, training of general managers, top management free to concentrate on strategic matters. And disadvantage is also, whatever disadvantage we saw for divisional structure, it is literally the same. Moving on to that, we have product versus geographical divisional structure. So product divisionalization is generally preferred over, say, geographic divisionalization when the product is relatively complex and requires a high cost of capital equipment, skilled operators, etc. Example, the car industry. So product divisionalization is obviously way better than the geographical division, because that's very complex to even have it. Moving on to the matrix structure. So matrix structure is a combination. This is also really easy, just try to understand. Matrix structure is a combination of both the divisional structure and the functional structure, which we have seen earlier. So this is how it's gonna be. For example, so there is a senior management, okay, and in the product structure we have production department, sales department, finance department, and the R&D department. So what is this? This is the functional structure, right? Then we have production manager A, production manager B, production manager C. So product A, product B, product C. Which is this? This is the product structure or the divisional structure. So that's what is a matrix structure. It is a combination of both the production structure as well as the product structure as well as the functional structure. Moving on, the matrix requires dual reporting to two different managers. So like for example, if I'm here, okay, then I'm in the production department of the product A. So I have to report to the production department as well. So I have to report to the production head as well and the production manager of A as well. If I'm in the sales of the B, there is a good B, there's a product B, and I'm in their sales department, let's just say. So we have to report to the B production manager of the product B as well. At the same time, we have to report to the sales department manager as well. So that's how it is. So there's dual reporting in that. Moving on, the matrix requires dual reporting to two different managers. For example, looking at the diagram above, an employee manufacturing product A would have to report this, we've just decided. The aim of matrix structure is to combine the benefits of both the divisional as well as the functional structures. So we get the advantages of both of them. Moving on to whatever we've done so far. Advantages. So advantages of both. So what are the advantages? Since it's a combination of both the product as well as the functional structure, the advantages of both the functional structure and the divisional structure are there. It's very flexible, so we can like mold it in the way we want it to be. So it is very flexible, and there is customer orientation. It encourages teamwork and exchange of opinions. So teamwork is there and exchange of opinions and expertise. What are the disadvantages? So dual command and conflict, very easy. We have to report to two different managers, so obviously there is a dual command and conflict. Dilution of functional authority, so obviously there will be dilution of authority. And yeah, so the meetings will be very time consuming. Since there are dual managers, the meetings are going to be dual. And then we have higher administration cost. Obviously if there are like multiple departments, multiple managers, multiple heads, the administration costs are going to be high. That is matrix structure. The advantages and the disadvantages, you can pause the video and read it down, even though I've explained everything for you. In today's rapidly changing environment, there is a need for effective coordination. Okay, the more rigid the structure, so this is very flexible. We've just done that. The production managers could be replaced with customer managers in which case the whole team will be focused on meeting the needs of the customer. What are the disadvantages? Dual command, higher administration costs, conflict with each other. A team member may be answerable to product manager A and the functional head, confusion and stress and time consuming meetings, and higher admin costs. Test your understanding. 1. Consider, like, please try to solve the answer by yourself and then see the answer. Consider the following statements. Under the functional structure, each department operates as a strategic business unit. No, it's not under the functional structure. It is under the product structure, divisional structure. Then we have the matrix structure will enable rapid decision making. That is not true. We just saw that it has dual command and time consuming meetings since two departments are responsible. So D option, neither. MPLC is a large company that operates in country G. It manufactures several different products, each of which is highly complex and extremely specialized. Its sales have grown significantly over the last several years, with each of its products producing a roughly equal amount of M's overall revenue. So obviously, since they have many products, they should have the divisional structure. So option B. Okay, so that's it for now. Let's just keep it light for you. I hope you understood whatever we did in the video so far. So we learned about what is an organizational structure, what is an entrepreneurial structure, advantages and disadvantage, what is a functional structure, what is a departmental structure and the advantages and disadvantage, and what is a divisional or what is a product structure. Moving on, we did what are the advantages and disadvantages, and what are geographically structured and what is a matrix structure. We also did what are the advantages and disadvantages, and I'm linking the playlist below. Don't worry, in the following videos we will be doing the study kits of these chapters as well, and we will be doing the other chapters as well. Just make sure to watch all the videos in the playlist. I'll link it down in the description box below. Thank you.